Action. Okay. I like the karate thing. I feel like I could have been a good karate guy. We're in my apartment, you're with me, Collin Nicholas, and this is a very exciting episode 7 for us. We have our first mystery box. This thing was packed and prepared by good friends at Pueblo, Viejo and Casa San Matias, and we're gonna unpack this thing together, pull everything out of the box, and work through the ingredients that we have in front of us. And let's see what we have to work with. Tequila is a great start. We're already starting on a really good foot here. And cilantro. All right, we got fresh cilantro here. Okay, corn tortillas, one of my favorite things in the planet. I mean, jumping right out at me. We have avocados. Yeah. Looks like there is still something in here. Hold on, let's see, up. What the f? All right, limes. I mean, we're definitely making guacamole here. Tequila. Hold on, let me tell you. Dude, what am I gonna do with this? All right, let's work through these things together, man. Boom, all right, we're here. I also pulled a few extra ingredients out of my pantry, things that I believe are commonly found at most of your houses. So mystery box ingredients, supplementary, alcohol, spirits, modifiers, liqueurs, and also things like coconut. We're also gonna dive into a really good bit of technique today, so follow along really closely, but let's jump head first with our cilantro. So what we're working with here is picked cilantro. As I mentioned earlier, we can use the stems on the cilantro if you don't want to throw them away. I'm all about limiting the amount of waste we're seeing on our table. I just ran my knife through it once or twice, measured out to about 2 cups. When blanching, we want to blanch over boiling water. We're going to help break down the herbs quite a bit. It's not important how much water necessarily is in your pot. You want to make sure it does get to a full rumble, full boil. We are going to just set our strainer in. We'll take our handy dandy lovely wooden spoon that we love so much and just give it a little pat. We're gonna tear this cilantro up. Give it 2 minutes. Give it a minute and a half, give it 2 minutes. See how the cilantro does in the bath. I don't do well in the bath for long. I'm not a water guy, so I take short baths. I don't even actually really usually take baths, but you don't want to get too pruny, start aging really quickly. So we've been over this blanch, under the blanch, around the blanch, or in the blanch. I guess we've been in our blanch here for roughly about a minute. Pulled it right above the surface here, let the excess water drain out. We're gonna send this through the processor. We're gonna blitz it up with our grapeseed oil. As I spoke about earlier, this is a super neutral oil made from grapeseed. Olive oils work great. They tend to have just a bit more flavor that's lent from those olives. We are, for our 1/4 cup of now blanched cilantro, I'd say we can go ahead and put in about 4 to 5 ounces of our oil to achieve maximum cilantro flavor. We're gonna go on just a good grind setting, okay? We really wanna blitz the fucking shit out of the cilantro. I don't even feel bad about this. We're taking this thing down to a near pulp. Can you hear me? We're just gonna take our little deli container here. Do you have a Ziploc bag? I know a lot of people are asking, I've made my syrup, Collin, where do I store it? Most every one of us most likely has a Ziploc in their pantry. Call me Ziploc. Okay, cilantro oil, check. We got our oil. We're gonna let this sit. We're gonna let it ride. Corn tortillas. We're gonna get into our second infusion next, right? We've worked with corn quite a bit in the past. I made corn syrups. We've been working with corn flakes before. That starchy, kind of grainy, sweet corn quality. The problem here being for us that they don't actually lend a ton of flavor raw or untreated. We wanna heat these puppies up. We don't need the entire bag of tortillas. We are going to work with 2 tortillas. Let's do 2 tortillas today. And then we can make quesadillas for the gang. Everyone can have tortillas. We're gonna throw them right over the open flame. We want that flame actually to make contact with our tortillas. So we blitz the shit out of our corn tortillas, okay? If you don't have a gas stove, throw these puppies in the oven. Hit it on broil, flip them once or twice. But what we're trying to achieve here, as you can see, we just have these lovely blackened edges. We got just an amazing aromatic, charred, smoky quality coming off these puppies. So I'm just gonna set these on the cutting board. These guys are just gonna break apart. It doesn't matter, you can rip them with your hands. And once again, our lovely deli, our guest of honor. You can even use your bottles, right? If you don't have a container to make the infusion with your tequila, go ahead and just snap that corn tortilla into really, really bite-sized snackable pieces, as my friend Charlie would like to say, and toss them right in your bottle. So we're taking our charred, broken corn tortilla. We're eyeballing this because it's something that is incredibly stable. I mean, I will keep this in the fridge, but you can make this infusion and it should last a very long time. I'm not always a huge fan of infusing spirits. I'm a big believer in protecting the quality and the character as intended by the producer. They produced it in this manner, bottled it in this manner because it was intended to be consumed in this manner. However, it's a great opportunity to incorporate the corn tortillas into this infusion because the application for a corn tortilla and a syrup, a tincture doesn't even really make a ton of sense to me. So we're gonna use the flavor to its maximum capacity by allowing the heat from the alcohol to really extract that charred smoke. And you'll see almost immediately, right? We're getting a really nice color. We're gonna let this go, right? We wanna let our infusion take a little time. We're gonna see that color evolve. Another thing I wanna discuss about this particular infusion, which I find really cool, we've taken our corn tortilla and charred it. And by doing that, we're almost mimicking the flavor that you would find in a bourbon whiskey. Bourbon whiskeys produced from corn, they're also aged in charred wood barrels. We've essentially created our own bourbon tequila. Trademarked right here on my shelf. Okay, fantastic. I pulled out eggs. What we're gonna do is actually just pull our egg yolks out and use the egg whites. We're gonna shake them up, emulsify them, and then once we're building our cocktail, we're gonna use them in about 1/4 ounce to maybe about 1/2 ounce. And what that's gonna do is essentially 3 things. It's gonna help dry out our cocktail. It's gonna subdue and curb some of the sweet elements, some of the spicy tones, some of those spice-driven notes. It's also gonna lend an incredible mouthfeel texture. It's gonna give this velvet, rich coating feel to the mouth. Really allows the cocktail to linger, allows for the finish to be super smooth and long. Lastly here, we also pulled out some coconut, untoasted coconut. We're gonna bring flavor out of these ingredients with a little bit of a heat treatment. So we're just gonna give a light toast to this coconut. Cool. So we've gone ahead and toasted our coconut. We just kicked it under a broiler for about 3 minutes. Deli, kick as much of this in as you want. God, I'm such a mess. I'm sitting at about just over 1/3 of a cup. Maybe go a little bit further. Luxardo, home bar staple, bar staple. It's a really useful, versatile tool, but it's a liqueur that is obtained from the distillation of Maraschino cherries. It's a very complementary flavor of this coconut. We are eyeballing this again. So I am going to say we'll put a cup of the maraschino in over our coconut. And we're gonna put it right in line with our other infusions here. Now let's check back in a moment. In a moment. How about this moment? We can see that color going wild. This tortilla is just ripping right through. Nevertheless, avocados. Break them down. We're gonna jam our knife right into the side of the pit, but don't throw this away because everyone knows what to do with avocados, but no one knows what to do with their avocado pits. We're taking our microplane. This is another great tool to have at home. If you don't have a microplane, a lot of people have a good cheese grater, and our deli back to action. Dry this sucker out. You wanna get as much of the moisture content out as possible, and it's been living in this juicy avocado its entire life. It's actually where the avocado came from. But what came first, right? The pit or the avocado? Some would say both, or someone would say neither. And I'm gonna show you something really neat here about our avocado. And I'm gonna let you take a peek right in here. It's gonna start turning yellow. What this is telling me here is that our pit is oxidizing. We're seeing some of that oxidation take place. And we wanna let it do its thing. We don't necessarily wanna just let it sit out, but it's gonna start to oxidize and change in color here. But we're gonna put this onto a low heat. It's gonna help toast the pit. It's actually gonna help push that color even further over the edge and really achieve this really bright saffron-y red. This is toasting up, releasing some of those aromatics. We're getting a lot of nutty tones. Almost, not caramelized sweet, but those hazelnut, kind of chestnutty notes. It's pretty lovely. 2 cups of water. We're gonna turn the heat up as high as it can go. And we're gonna meet that with 4 cups of sugar. So we're doing a 2-to-1 sugar to water syrup. Our pot's coming up to a boil. Again, we want that boil so we can dissolve all of our sugar. We are going to very slowly dissolve our 4 cups of sugar. And the reason I'm doing that is that for this particular recipe, I want to create a rich syrup. This syrup, as a rich syrup, will allow us to use a smaller measurement of it. Just about a 5-minute cook back up to its simmer or soft boil should be totally fine. Let it steep, let the avocado pit meld in. It's just gonna meld. It's just gonna fit right in there. So look, as promised, we have this magnificent avocado pit syrup. Color is f***ing amazing. We were tasked with a mystery box of guacamole ingredients, and we have landed in a very cool place to put together a super fun recipe. As we let our ingredients sit and rest, we're gonna go ahead and strain off a small amount of each one so we can build this cocktail. All 4 of these ingredients that we had prepared and worked through together, we wanna let rest, infuse for about 24 hours. We can go up from there. I would say 48 hours is really a sweet spot. Don't need to go much further. We're gonna take our hand squeezer and we're looking for ½ ounce of lime. Feel free to measure it out. If you have a circular juicer, an automatic juicer, go ahead, knock your socks off. But we're just gonna go ahead and get our ½ ounce of lime juice. One sneaky last devil here. Ancho Reyes verde. It is a poblano chili liqueur. Okay, eggs, crack them on a flat surface. Don't be doing this all willy-nilly on the side of something. You know, you just wanna go right onto the table. We're gonna crack our egg in half and let all that beautiful, beautiful texture of the egg white just cascade over the top of the shell while keeping the egg yolk inside. Poblano right on top, okay? We're going ½ ounce of our poblano liqueur. Next, going down our line. 3/4 ounce of our avocado pit orgeat. We're just gonna call it an orgeat. It's not an orgeat, it's not jat. So it's avocado jat. And 3/4 and 1/4 ounce of our coconut maraschino. Again, Maraschino cherries, so this is a liqueur that does have a certain fruit quality to it. Our tequila, infused with charred corn tortillas, right? We made our own little bourbon tequila here. I'm just catching all that smoked chard note. 1.5 ounces should do you just fine. If you feel like you need to really bring that spirit quality up and provide a little bit more structure in the cocktail, please feel free. And on to our last component, guys. We have our cilantro oil, okay? Right? This thing is popping, vibrant, kind of deep, almost like an electric evergreen color, right? And what I'm doing here is, if you don't have, or because I don't have a dropper bottle handy, you can just go ahead and take a paper straw, you can take a metal straw, it's better for the environment, a glass straw, and suction from your finger, you're able to scoop up some of that oil and drop it very carefully straight into your tin, right? Beauty, just look at that. That's just a beautiful thing right there. And I would say that is about 5 drops. We're gonna call it 5 drops. Get yourself a dropper bottle, maybe a little tincture bottle, you have a little makeup thing or whatever with the little deal on it. Get your egg whites in your tin and you're gonna go ahead and close it up. No ice, dry shake first. Flip your tin over, you know? Give it a good assertive shake for a good minute or so, right? 30 seconds to a minute. Now, just gonna come behind with some nice, beautiful big cubes. Fill our tin with our ice, and we can go ahead, close this up, make sure we get a nice seal on our tin. Ice in the tin. Let's shake this thing. We're gonna dilute it. We're gonna dilute this puppy and also just bring everyone together one last time before we get them into our glass. I'm using this digestive glass because I think this is gonna be a really fun way to not only see this cocktail and the layers, but also just a really fun little cheeky guy. We have our cocktail, it's strained. Beautiful color, right? It's a little bit unanticipated. We're working with these really vibrant, punchy, colorful syrups, our avocado pit orgeat. We have that green, vibrant cilantro oil. But what we're seeing here is this kind of eggshell off cream color from all of the other elements, that deep, dark, charred corn tortilla. Now I want to discuss a garnish element. We always talk about garnishes. I always stress how important these garnishes are. What I've done here, I'm using a little mortar and pestle. I've just thrown a little bit of our toasted coconut, and then I actually dried out that charred corn tortilla, and I've created this nice fine dust. What we're gonna do with this is we're actually just gonna lay it right on top. So because we got such a perfect little head with our egg white incorporated into the cocktail recipe, we are going to create contrast. We're also gonna repurpose some of the ingredients we prepared before. We have our cocktail here, the guacamole cocktail. Find those ingredients in your house, get creative, pull them apart, understand their flavors. We overcame a huge obstacle today. We tackled our first mystery box and won. We got our guacamole cocktail. We did something that people thought was never possible, but we have it here. Now I'm gonna go drink my guacamole cocktail. Bye.